Well, good morning. Welcome to Serendipity Sunday. I am Asar, also known as Greg Stanton, the facilitator for the weekly Serendipity Sunday. Serendipity simply means something good and unexpected. That's right, something good and unexpected. And if you're not in my mailing list, you have no clue what I'm going to talk about this morning. Well, I'm speaking to a advertisement that I sent out entitled "Time for Melanated People to Rise and Expand," taking our minds back. And if you don't have that image, the image is a trajectory of an arrow moving upwards to the right, meaning we're going in the right direction. So this morning's message is kind of like a continuation to last Sunday's message, which was entitled "Still I Rise." Okay, so we have risen. We have all come through the darkness of the night, and now we are stepping into the light. And it's while we were in the darkness of the night that Source, God, dropped down inside of you. Dreams, visions, directions, clarity, corrections. Perhaps you're not aware of what was given to you through the course of the night. Get still, be quiet, and listen, and it'll come back to you. And if you value it, you'll find that as days go on, your dreams will become more vivid. Your recall will just be a natural part of your reset of the next day. So again, I want to say good morning to each of you, no matter what time of day that it is that you're viewing this. I pray that things are well for all who has their eyes on this video, whose ears are turned this way. Well, this morning, I desired to introduce to you, with the brevity of time that I'm dealing with, a topic that has to do with the reascension of African people, people of melanated people, for all people. So you may say, why are you speaking so specifically? Because I know to whom I'm called. I know to whom my frequency picks up. But I also speak a truth. I also speak a wisdom. I speak universal principles that is applicable to all people. And so this morning's message, I want to revisit. I want to revisit a story that many of you all may be familiar with, that is found in Genesis chapter 26. And so if you get the chance this week, I want you to revisit that chapter. But to set things in order, I want to kind of give you a sense of what was going on. In Genesis chapter 26, and I'll be reading from the New King James Version, there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham and Isaac. And Isaac went to Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, in Gerar. Then the Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land which I shall tell you. Dwell in this land, and I will be with you and bless you." Now I'm speaking to you all this morning. I'm bringing an old message in a in a manner that digs deeper, bringing you the metaphysics behind what is being spoken here. And to each of us, we're called to not go to the place that may have been a place of promise, a place of familiarity, but that we should live in the land where you are right now, no matter what state you're in. Learn to be contentment until Source shows you where you should go and what you to do. And he goes on here and he says, "Dwell in this land." Dwell means to thrive. Don't just be where you are, but thrive in whatever place you are this morning. Dwell in this land, and I will give you, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands, and I will perform the oath which I swore to Abraham your father. I will make your descendants multiply as the stars in heaven. I will give to your descendants all these lands, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So one of the things we have to learn, one, to have an ear that's bent towards what was promised to our ancestors. Have an ear that's bent towards what was spoken to our ancestors. Be reminded of what our ancestors were able to do. When we look back in the history and the annals of time, we find that melanated people have a history that is historical, a history that is grand, but we've been sold and we've been told things that have been to our demise. In verse 6 it picks up. It says, "So Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked about his wife, and he said, 'She is my sister.' For he was afraid to say, 'She is my wife,' because he thought," see the thinking, "lest the men of the place kill me for Rebekah, because she is beautiful to behold." So many times we will dummy down, we will dirty up, we will not expose ourselves because of fear, not expose who we are, what we have, because we believe someone is going to take it from us. But there are some things that is given to you that no one can take from you. Read that. I want to skip you down to verse 10. And in verse 10 it says, Abimelech said, the king, "What is this you have done to us? One of the people might soon have laid with your wife." So he's saying, wait a minute, you told us this was not your wife. You told a lie. And in order to protect yourself, but you put us at risk. And so he says to him to get out. Then Isaac sowed in the land and reaped in the same year 100-fold. Where you are right now, you can sow into that place. You can cultivate that place. And you can reap right where you are 100-fold where you are. Goes on in verse 13. This is the significance of what I want to speak this morning. It says in verse 13 of the 26th chapter of the book of Genesis, it says, the man began to prosper and continued prospering until he became very prosperous. For he had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds and great number of servants. So the Philistines envied him. Now, people will envy you. When we look at what has happened to the melanated people across the globe, they have been envied and overtaken by non-melanated. Now listen to this message deeper than black and white. What is happening today is an age-old repeating cycle. Verse 15 says, "Now the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham." That's why we look at our society, look at in our communities where melanated people are in the masses. We find that there's nothing but poverty because the wells has been stopped up. Those things that could naturally maintain our communities have been stopped up, and wells have been dug by others who we now find ourselves securing all of our goods and service from. But this story talks about redigging the wells. Now look what happens here. In verse 15, "Now the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham, his father, and they had filled them with earth. And Abimelech said to Isaac, 'Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we are.' Then Isaac departed and he pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar, and he dwelt there. And Isaac dug again," and that's the message this morning. Dig again the wells of water. Again mean that which has been dug before. Dig the wells of water. This is one of the scriptures that came to me when I renamed the ministry Oasis Spiritual Center. Though we are in the desert, we can find an oasis. It hits the mother lode where the water runs fresh. And Isaac dug again, says the scripture, the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham. So we got to retrace. We got to go back. We got to gather. We got to Sankofa. We got to look back. We don't look back to go back. We look back to see beyond the adulterance that has been dropped in from the time we were great to the time that we find ourselves today. So we're looking back. He says, "For the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. He called them by the names which his father called him." So it's important that we go back to the names. I know we just call God, which is a very generic term that has truly no meaning to us. But when we can go back and identify the netters, and when I say netter, netteru, because the African did not have a God, but the African or the melanated men and women of the earth, the original melanated men and women of earth, understood that they were God, understood that they were the Neteru, that they were a manifestation in the earth of the unseen. So they called it by names like Ptah. They called it by names such as Nun and Nunet. They called it by names like Asar, Aset, Haru. So they had these names that depicted aspects. And by the calling of the name, it set in their frame of their minds an aspect of what is and what could be created. So Isaac, they dug the wells in the valley, and they found a well of running water. See, a running water is fresh water. But the herdmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac, saying the water is out. Just like when we built the Black Wall Streets all over the place. There's been Black Wall Streets in our history. But others have come and said, one, they had envy and they tore it down, or they just took over. They were prefer to tear it down than to allow us to have the black metropolises that we once had. So he called the name of the well Esek, because they quarreled with him. Then he dug another well, and they quarreled over that one also. So he called the name Sitnah, and he moved from there, and he dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called its name Rehoboth, because he said, for now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And that's my key scripture today that I want to speak with you in regards to the next 20 minutes. Verse 22, the B part of that verse. They're no longer quarreling over us because they appear to think, or they probably think, that where we are, there's nothing there. So he called it Rehoboth, because he said, for now the law has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. Let me break that term Rehoboth down for you. When you look in the metaphysical dictionary, I give you the tools that I use so that way you can use them too. This is an excellent book. It's called the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and in it is written by Charles Fillmore. Now, I have expanded beyond this. Not only do I use this, but because I have learned how to tune in, tap into Source, just as Source gave the Fillmores the ability to write this, I have the ability to expand on it. But I want to give you something that they got the Rhema on some time ago. The word Rehoboth, okay, the name Rehoboth, comes from Genesis 10 and 11. It's called the city of Rehoboth, broad places, enlargements, broad lands, wide streets, marketplace, forums. It was a city built by Asher. A well was dug by Isaac herdsmen, and for which the herdsmen of Gerar did not strive. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, for now Jehovah, or the Neter, has made room for me, and we shall be fruitful in the land. So say that with me right now. Where I am, Source is, and where Source is, so is I. And if Source is here, it will outsource to me what I need in order to be prosperous in where I am. Your destiny is always tied to a destination. So wherever you are right now is your current destination. Learn to dwell in, thrive in, grow where you planted. I saw a picture not long ago of a plant that had sprouted up in the midst of this concrete parking lot. It was a dried out concrete parking lot that wasn't being used, but in the middle of this concrete parking lot that had cracks in the ground, a plant has found its way to grow through the cement. And that told me something about nature. Nature has a natural way of rising. And I'm saying in your nature, you have the natural way, the natural capability to rise beyond your situation, the circumstances that you may have found yourselves in. Stop rehearsing the reality of what you see around you. Yes, you may be in a land that's dried up, where nothing appears to be able to grow. But if you understand the power that you have to call those things that are not even though they are not as though they are, to understand that as an ambassador, wherever you plant your feet, the kingdom is there. And so once we begin to realize and integrate these things into the essence of who we are, we rise beyond the limitations. We know we are a people that something has happened to us. There's nothing wrong with melanated people. Melanated people are manifesting behaviors not because something's wrong with them, but something has happened to them. Something has happened to us. Now, we need some assistance. We not only need mental health care, but we need spiritual health care. I believe that if you deal with the spirit of man, all the things that make up man or woman will begin to align themselves properly. So the message this morning is about digging the well. And what is the well I'm talking about? Not the well that you can go outside and plant an axe. I'm not an axe, but a shovel into the ground. But I'm talking about the wells of your mind. Redig the well of your mind. Your mind has been filled with all types of garbage, has stopped you from the natural flow. It has been so stopped up that you don't even understand that deep inside of you is a well that brings forth rivers of living waters. But you got to clear all the mess, all the garbage, all the messages you've gotten all of these years that has done nothing but attempt to seal up the well. Now, when I read this, it just makes my soul jump. It goes on, it says, a well was dug by Isaac Herdsman, and they called the name of the place that they finally was given Rehoboth, because Source had made room for them. Okay, and it goes on, it says, metaphysically, thoughts of a broadening increase, enlarging nature. So when we talk about Rehoboth, we're talking about a principle of increase. I'm reminded of what's the brother who he says increase, expand my territory, expand my territory. And so what we have to do is speak that we expand our territory. We expand, we enlarge. Now, the thoughts of broadening, it says principally in the intellectual or mental reasoning plane of the individual. So the Rehoboth is in your mind. It's not a physical place. Once you clear your mind, once you clear your mind, you have the clear to close. We talked about this week in our prayer time. One of the individuals on our prayer line was talking about bringing a deal to close. She talked about clear to close, and that just clicked in my spirit. We have to have the clear to close. And how do we close deals? We get clear on what it is we want to experience, what it is we desire to create, what it is, and stop subjecting ourselves to things outside. Things outside can affect the thing inside if we allow that outside to have that influence. Some of us need to close our eyes, and some of us need to close our ears. Some of us need to shut ourselves in, away from all the noise. Not just noise from melanated people, but there's noise from, unmelanated people. But you got to shut yourself down from most of the noise you hear from melanated people. There's a lot of misinformation that's being given. There's a lot of people who have been told you need to let this thing go. Right here, right now, those who are on this channel need to know that this channel is specifically created for those who have had a Christian experience that they've outgrown. But that doesn't mean that we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We are redigging the well. We are redigging this, what has been given us. So we are reclaiming. We are deconstructing. We are reconstructing. The greatest breadcrumb back to our ancestors is found in the book of wisdom known as the Bible. Not as it has been interpreted to us. I was reading, I pulled a book off my shelf. I'm always introducing you to something. This book that I purchased it back in 90, and it's entitled, here you go, African Psychology by Wade Nobles. Now, you can Google YouTube Wade Nobles. You got a lot of stuff on YouTube. It's great black psychology. It says African psychology towards its reclamation, reascension, and revitalization. for the African psychology, it also included spirituality. The African understood that we are spiritual beings sitting here to have a human expression called life. And so, if the black psychologists could take it upon themselves to reclaim psychology, how much more should those of us who are called to preach and teach what is known as Christianity reclaim it? Move beyond what has been given to us. Move beyond to how it's been presented to us, to redig the well from which Christianity flourished. That's why you got to trace it back. And for some of us don't want to go back because none of us want to identify with the fact that we are black. Now, to make it a little more palatable, I'm taking that term and going deeper. We're melanated people. That makes for the variations of hues that we all come in. But at the same time, we must give honor where honor is due. Redig the wells of our ancestors. Now, check this out. So metaphysically, Rehoboth, Rehoboth, means thoughts of a broadening, okay, increasing, enlarging, broad places, enlargements, principally in the intellectual or mental reasoning plane in the individual. It goes on and says, Asher, who built the one city of Rehoboth, was of Assyria, and typifies the outer reasoning plane of thought in man, while Shaul, king of Edom, was of Rehoboth, refers to the desire, longing, and eagerness of the outer outer consciousness for greater expression. And that's what I said. So many people I encounter, they are eager. That's why law of attraction is taken off, because people want to expand. People are eager to have more than they have had in the past. The place that Isaac named Rehoboth signifies a more interior expansion of thought. So even when we talk about expanding from the place of material things or the world of matter, the expansion that we really need to make is the immaterial spiritual realm. We must broaden our thoughts of what spirituality is. We must broaden our thoughts as to who were the creators of this thing we call spirituality and how it's played out in our particular religious, or all I see religion is the cultural overlay of the expression of a spiritual idea. People expressing their spiritual ideas inside of their cultural framework. That's why I have no problem with those who say they are with Islam if they are Arab, or if they are Arabs. I have no problems with those who say they are Christians or follow Christianity if your ancestral past is that which is European or Western orientation. I have no problem with those who say they are inside of the Judaic religious system of Judaism, if that's your ancestral past. But what we have is a lot of melanated people are adopting what has been given to us by the oppressors, and we don't have the audacity to reclaim it and to reform it, to deconstruct it, reconstruct it, and then cultivate it. That's what Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living is all about. It's about empowering people who look like you, people who look like me, people who had experiences that we have no other people group in this world has had the things that has happened to us. It's a wonder that we have any semblance of sanity based on the oppressive acts that have happened to us over the annals of time. And now it's those more covert things that are going on. If something is happening to you overtly, you know how to deal with it. But when things are continuously coming at you from a subliminal, covert way, it just presents a lot of undue stressors. Nobody can understand the black mind like a black man or a black woman. We got to understand no one's lived in our trajectory. The opposite of that, we understand the ways of the oppressor because we've taken them on. We've taken on the behaviors of non-melanated people. That doesn't mean good for us. It doesn't represent our highest and greatest good. What they do is an expression of what represents their highest and greatest good. We must rise now and say, it didn't work for us, because we're not the same. Now, here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that melanated people are better than non-melanated people, but I'm sure in the hell is not saying that non-melanated people are the standards. We are holding ourselves up against, it's like apples against oranges. Realize this. If you're going to evaluate an orange, you cannot use apple principles. You cannot plant an apple seed with the expectation of getting an orange. You cannot expect for people of melanated ancestry to grow to the trajectory of being great and grand if they're holding them to something that is different than who they are. You know the story of the eagle that was found in the chicken's roost. When the eagle, large eagle came and found this baby eagle or this young eagle amongst the chickens, just walking around, plucking at the dirt, looking for food. And he took him aside and gave him a story. You are not a chicken. You are not an eagle. You are an eagle. Look at yourself. Look in the mirror. You don't look like them. Your expression of life is only like them because you've acculturated. And if you choose to acculturate, that's great. That's fine. I have lived a large part of my life. I've learned to be bicultural. I've learned to thrive in the hood where things ain't always good. I've learned to thrive inside of being in an acculturated community. I've learned to thrive in a community where there was none like me there but me. But I also have maintained the well from which my ancestral self is steeped inside of. Now, I'm encouraging you this morning. This morning's message is a message about rising where you are, redigging the well. Now, when you redig a well, that means you're starting digging at surface level, and you keep going back until you hit the mother lode. And when you hit the mother lode, that's when you will get an extreme stream. You will hit the flow. And with Christianity, the deeper we go back, we peel that onion back. We get to the origin of these stories. And we see that these stories that we are standing inside of are carbon copies. But the carbon copy is never as clear as the original. And so we have to take it upon ourselves and say, if Christianity as it has been given serves you and your group, cool. But for me and my house, we're going to go to the mother lode. We're going to tune in, tap in to the source. Now, so you have to know this. Your expansion, your rising to greatness is not predicated on what others say or do. It's only predicated on what you do. Stop waiting for others to sign off on what you do. Many individuals who I know who are in the betwixt, who are dealing with what we call this construct of being caught in between, don't know if you want to go back or if you want to stay where you are. It's tied to the fact that you want to be accepted. But there comes a point in your life where you have to look in the mirror and you have to say, what's good for me? And you have to be in pursuit of it. So this week on Tuesday night, Transformation Tuesdays, I'm dealing with metaphysics for the melanated mind. How do we take this word that we hold so dearly as melanated people who are following the pathway of traditionally known as Christianity? Stop letting people who've never had your experience tell you that your experience has been a lie. No, it hasn't been a lie. Many of these people in our cultural community, many who are saying you need to get out, have never been in. Come on now. That's the same mistake we allow to be, that we walked in when we allowed non-melanated people to tell us that our experience was less than. Unless you've been in my shoes, you don't know how they fit. What's the proper fit for me? And so I'm just encouraging people, stop getting caught up in having to please other people. I love my melanated brothers and sisters who show up in all other belief systems. I make space for them, but I also make space for the reality of the well that I have dug. Come on, I'm unapologetically Come on now, I'm unapologetically a melanated man with a melanated history. Come on, I'm unapologetically that. And I'm unashamedly to be called one who is in the way. One who is moving all the garbage out of the way, that has all of the luggage, all of the stuff that comes with traditional Christianity. I'm unpacking that. I'm getting rid of it. If it don't work, and I'm not going to work it. Come on. I'm not ashamed to know that if I dig the well that my ancestors dug, I'll do and I'll be and I'll have the greatness that they experienced. We allowed people to come along and adulterate our well. We allowed people to come along to tell us that our ice wasn't as cold as their ice. Think about it. Their ice is colder than our ice. And many of us have bought into that. Two people can be selling the same thing, a melanated person and a non-melanated person. For some reason, we'll think that non-melanated person, who could be Arab, could be European, could be Asian, their ice is better than the melanated person's ice. Let me explain something to you. Water freezes universally at the same temperature. In order for it to be transformed into what is known as ice, it has to have been impacted by a temperature. I think it's 32 degrees. I think that's it. Cheryl, is that it? Put it out there on water freezes at 32 degrees. So whether you have a container with water and you're melanated, or a container with water and you're non-melanated, it freezes at 32 degrees. But what we have is we have an alien self identity. Anything that has to, like most people, some people said on my Facebook feed, on my YouTube feed recently, I'm going to wrap up with this. About a month ago, I posted a video that stated, a YouTube video that stated, Pastor leaves Christianity. People read into that all kinds of stuff. But in 1 month's time, 15,000 people have viewed that. The vast majority of those who have viewed it have left comments saying, finally, a place where I can come, where I don't have to be ashamed of where I've been, and allow me to unpack my experiences in a manner that allows me to validate what has happened and get rid of the things that shouldn't be part of my belief system. In 30 days. Now, you may think that's nothing, but that's something when you just started 4 months ago on YouTube. So what I'm saying to you, I have more people resonating with what I'm saying that are not resonating. I have a number of melanated people come on and they say, "Wow, Doc, you lost your way." No, I found my way because I've searched this matter out. And so I'm not here to persuade anyone, but I'm here to send a frequency, send a sound to those who have ears to hear that there is a more perfect way. So this day, let us rise and expand. You don't have to leave where you live to create what you desire to live in. You can impact those around you with what you do more powerfully than what you say. We have a lot of preachers in our community. We have a lot of teachers in our community that are talking loud, ain't saying nothing, not impacting the communities in which they are planted. But I'm saying it's time for those, the real sons and daughters of the Creator, the melanated people in our communities, to rise up and to expand our territory. Move not only from the house that you're in, but the vacant lot that is next to you. Expand your territory. Clean up your territory. Redig the wells. Put flowers where grandmama used to have flowers. Come on now. Put grass where you've created a concrete parking lot for old cars and old things. Clean up around our own homes, our own doors. There's an African proverb that says, sweep up around your own door before you try to sweep up around somebody else's. You are living the most important real estate is the real estate between your two ears. There's a battle for your mind. Always been a battle for the melanated mind, because the melanated mind has resources. We have much money moving amongst us, but we don't see it because the dollar stays in the black community for 16 minutes, I think I heard. Once you get that paycheck, in 16 minutes, it's transmuted either to the Korean store, the Asian store, individuals in our community that take that dollar and it doesn't turn back around in our community. You go to certain communities like the Jewish community, a dollar, they say, never leaves the community. It goes from this business to this business to that bank. And that bank invested back in these businesses and these people. It's our business. We talk about reparation. We're talking about we want people to do for us what we can do for ourselves. The root word of the word reparation is repair. We need to repair ourselves. We need to realign ourselves to know that no oppressive people are ever going to give you anything. And if they're giving you something, there's a trade-off in that thing. And I'm not saying that the rebellion or that the revolution has to be one that is about force. Matter of fact, it's a revolution that starts with our minds. It starts within our own minds, within our own real estate. And then we move out in the communities and we expand our communities. Let us rise and expand. Expand in thought. And so it is. Awesome. That's what I have for you this morning. I'll go deeper on Tuesday night. If you are tuning in for the very first time, need to know a little bit more about this ministry, go click on if you're on the YouTube channel, you just click on the channel, join the channel. In addition to joining the channel, join the mailing list. Because if you're on the mailing list, like I've had 15,000 people, we have 500 subscribers. Now, some people say that's nothing. I'm not measuring myself against other people. I'm measuring myself against myself. Where I started from 4 months ago, no subscribers. And we went from 100 subscribers in January to 400 subscribers in April. And I'm saying to you, you got to be part of the family. Okay? If you're just a looker, a voyeur, that's fine. But I'm looking for those who want transformation. Transformation does not take place by looking on. Transformation happens by getting in the game, getting on the court, starting where you are. We make space for that. We all don't have to think alike. We all don't have to be alike. We all may be melanated, but we all have a different experience and a different expression. I make space for that, and I hold the safe space for those who want to show up in the way they are. But we will not allow individuals to try to refill the wells with old stuff. If this ministry has been a blessing to you, the law of circulation says, give and it shall be given to you. How? Pressed down, shaken together. Sure, the law, open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. So we have to learn how to work the principles. If you want to learn how to work the principles of giving, you need to check my video out that I created on yesterday. The video that had to do with the law of circulation, with the law of giving. So you can go to the website, oasisspiritualcenter.com, or you can click in the description below if you're on YouTube, and you'll find the giving tab. You can give by PayPal, you can give by Cash App, you can give by the text to give. There's all kind of platforms that you can transmute what you have where you are to where I am, where we are. So I want to thank those who have continued to sow a seed into this ministry, who stand alongside of us in support. So I'm going to move over to the green room and see if we got any questions. For those of you who are on the YouTube Live, this presentation will be edited out and put back up on my upload side of the house. For those of you who are in the Zoom room and you caught the second part or less than the whole thing, you'll be able to get it in an email after it's edited. All right, thank you for putting that out there in the chat. Thank you, Courtney, for putting the website there for me. If anybody is on the YouTube channel, go ahead and type in oasisspiritualcenter.com so people can know how to get a hold of the ministry. Let me go here and see if I got any questions. If you got a question, go ahead and raise your hand. If you have a comment, let me see that's right. Jabez was the prayer of Jabez. Increase Expand my territory. Source will not expand your territory until you take care of what you already are responsible for. Why would it give you more if you can't handle less? Come on now, clean up where you are. Make it a place that is immaculate. Set it in order. And guess what? You're ready for expansion. Awesome, awesome. Clear the clothes. That's right, Courtney. Prayer Jabez, for those who don't know, is found in 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 10. Thank you, Trinity, for dropping that in. Increasing. And this is a season. This is a time of increase. When there is even, you can make more money during a depression than when things are going well. You just have to be fearless. You have to be faithful to the idea that is given to you. As for me and my house, we will serve the law. Right on, Courtney. Okay. Thank you, Asar. This is just what I needed for melanated people like me. That's Cheryl. SB. I think that's Cheryl. SB. Oh, okay. That's Sylvan Frey, Brooklyn, New York. What's up, Brooklyn? This is Chicago man here. Brooklyn is in the house. All right. Let me see what's here. Yes, I looked up temperature for water to freeze. I like that. She looked up what is the temperature. If you don't know and you want to grow, you got to search. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't care if you white or black, melanated or non-melanated. Your ice is no colder than my ice. Ice is maintained at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Awesome. Powerful message. Thank you. All right. Thank you for the message. I'm looking forward to Tuesday night. It's all about transformation. It's all about increase. Come on. There's one thing that I know about people of African descent here in America. There's more people with a Christian experience than an Islamic experience amongst black people of melanated, of color. There's more of us with a history of Christianity than Judaism. So to my brothers who are with the Hebrew Israelites, it's more black folks that have a Christian experience. To my brothers who are with the Nation of Islam, there's more black folks that have a history of Christianity. Why am I saying that? I'm not saying that to them. If that's what they want to do, I celebrate them. Some of my best friends are with the Nation of Islam. Some of my best friends or some of my better acquaintances are with the Nation of Islam. Some of my better acquaintances are with a traditional or Orthodox Islam. Some of my better acquaintances are with the Catholic Church. Some of my better acquaintances are with the Hebrew Israelites, are with all these other things. And I give them that space. But I was born into this space. I chose to come through this portal. Now I'm reclaiming what rightfully belongs to us. So I'm not ashamed, and I'm not arguing with nobody. I'm not trying to convince nobody that I am somebody. And that's the mentality you have to take on. Well, we're right at the 9:45. We're out here every Sunday. I don't see any questions. If anybody got a question, anybody want to jump in on the feed, want something you want to say, you had an aha moment, I welcome you to do that. I'm not going to take up the space call now. I'm just hanging around. If there's no other questions, no other comments, then I'm just going to move on to the next thing that makes up my day. But before I do that, let me go over to the YouTube channel to see if there's any comments. What's happening, Belanita Creations? Good to see you. I hope things are well where you are. I am MZ, which means the wise elder of Oasis Spiritual Center. It's great. Good to see you joining this morning. I don't see any other comments over on the YouTube channel. So that tells me that I've done my job and I've done it well. And I'm going to edit this and get it out. So if you want to share it with your family members and your friends, you can do that. So I'm going to make space right now for us to move into the remainder of this day. So right where you are, take a big deep breath. I'm going to edit this out, but I want to add this for those who are with me this morning. Take a big deep breath in. Hold that breath. Now release it through your mouth, relaxing. And as you come to the bottom of the breath, Let us move into our next breath. Big breath in, expanding your lungs to full capacity, holding that breath, allowing it to do what it's been designed to do, touching every cell, every system, every organ, the entirety of your formed being, bringing it into harmony with wholeness and health. Now release it through your mouth. As you release, you relax, you let go of that which no longer serves you, all the toxins, all the negativity, everything that no longer serves you, exits your body, making space for your next breath. Now continue to breathe in and out at your own pace as I share with you this morning's meditative thought. And I'm talking this morning about right action is operating in your life right now. Right action means that every legitimate and constructive purpose that you have in mind will be successfully executed this week. It means that you will know what to do, how to think, how to act, how to proceed. You definitely will declare that since your word is in accord with the divine nature, it is actually the law of source of God in your experience enforcing itself. There is nothing in you or around you that can limit you or limit your word except you. The power of this law is in you, and the action that results from this power produces harmony, peace, joy, and success. Ma'at. You know that it is in consciousness of reality is the supply for your every need, physical, mental, or spiritual. And you accept that supply in its deepest gratitude. You are thankful that this is the way of life that fulfills your needs through the doorway of your inner self. And you're thankful that you know how to use the perfect law. You come to this great fountain of supply today, Oasis Spiritual Center, in the very center of your being, to absorb that for which you have need, mentally and physically. And you're filled with the sense of the reality of that which you desire. It has already happened. As you are filled with this reality, you permit it to flow into your world of thought, imagination, and action. Now, a knowing comes forward, knowing that it brings peace and harmony and order all around you. There arises within you limitless faith in the unconquerable presence, the perfect law of divine action. And so it is. Peace. I'm out. I'm Asar. Talk to you Tuesday.